settled down there. He's married now to a nice Irish girl, his fifth marriage.
There's Robert looking larger than life.
She's,
Good for him.
yeah, and she, in Ireland, it's traditional the oldest child inherits the estate. So all I have to do is outlive my stepmother, who's 3 years younger than me. It's all mine. And now, did we put that out on the internet? for
Nope, we have
everybody
one
to see
more
that?
minute.
Okay, that's good. I mean, I tell everybody the story, but I really not have it be officially broadcast.
Well, it is 5:15 on my iPad.
Okay.
What's your iPad say?
5:15 on mine too, so
It's official iPad time.
we will get started. I will call the September meeting of the Warsaw Board of Aviation Commissioners to order. You should all have received your packets of information, which would include the information for today's meeting, including the minutes. So we will start off with that.
I make a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
I will second.
Moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the August 8th meeting. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carried. Next, claims. What do you have in particular for us? Doesn't look like a lot of different dramatic things, just one large bill.
Just the one large bill. It's our annual property, liability, hangers, keepers, all that good stuff. Insurance for the airport, $24,710. That is a slight increase from last year, but I have great news. We have negotiated a 5-year price lock on that price with Cincinnati Insurance.
Oh.
So we have locked that in for the next 5 years. And then I am co-chairing the General Aviation Committee for Aviation Indiana. And we are actually, aside from this, we are looking to see if we can do a group insurance policy amongst airports throughout the state of Indiana. As you guys, I'm sure, are aware, a lot of cities banded together to create the AIM Medical Trust several years back to help administer insurance for cities and towns that were smaller, that it was expensive for them to have health insurance and benefits. We are looking at doing the same thing. The aviation insurance market is shrinking. It's becoming a very hard market. A firm market is the official term because there's not many companies that are underwriting aviation insurance. And so we have gone out to a few different companies to basically get RFPs to see if it is even possible for this, say if we could get 45 or 50 airports in the state of Indiana to go in underneath one collective
Blanket,
insurance,
yeah.
blanket coverage. Here's our collected net assets. Here is our liability. It might be a little bit expensive for the first 4 or 5 years as we build a reserve, but once that reserve has been built, now we can start looking at what are the claims as a whole for the state versus what are the claims for the individual airports. Because we've had one claim in 37 years with the Warsaw Airport, and it was an erroneous claim at that point. It was just somebody who damaged their airplane that was trying to get us to pay for it. And outside of that one claim, we've never had another claim. We have small things here and there, people run into our fence in the wintertime, but not a true. But when there is a true claim, they can get very expensive very quick. Heaven forbid you run a plow truck and, you back a plow truck into an airplane that's taxiing by that you didn't see. That can get very expensive quickly. So we're working with these companies to see if A, is it possible? B, is it legal? And C, what would that look like with the group of airports that are currently interested in that?
How did this develop?
I was having a after conference card game with some of the other fellow airport managers in the state at our last year conference, and I just said, hey, are you guys all part of AIM Medical Trust? And we were playing euchre, and there were 7 other airports at the table. All 8 of us were part of the AIM Medical Trust, and I said, why don't we plagiarize what they're doing at AIM and do that for airport liability insurance?
Yeah.
Because we had just left a session earlier that day that was talking about how hard it was to re-up your insurance. Right. And I'm sure you guys have seen in the last 5 years, our premiums have gone up anywhere from 30 to 50%, depending on the size of the airport. When I started, our insurance was like $11,000 or $12,000 10 years ago.
12 or 13, somewhere in there.
And then it jumped to 14 pretty quick, and then it was flat for a couple years, then it jumped to 17. Well, As far as I know, there's only 3, possibly 4 underwriters that are still writing insurance for airports. They have no plans to, I mean, one of them's called Global Aerospace, so they're not going to be getting out of it. Cincinnati Insurance is one of the few that underwrite it, but it's becoming a very firm market, and so looking for creative ways to band together and lower those costs. That's, I said, let's put a group together. So there's been 6 of us working on it for the last year. The legal part was pretty tricky, just figuring out, is it legal to do this? And it is. So we are working through that. We've been working through that process, and we are now at the point where these companies are going out to the airports that we've identified that are interested in the program. And then there's so much information we need to submit to them. Current policy, how many claims have been made against the airport in the last 5 years, how many hangars do you own, what type, do you de-ice, do you tug, you know, we have to fill,
Yeah.
it's basically a comprehensive application with these couple companies, and then they're going to come and present to the Aviation Indiana group and show a proposal. And they might, the numbers they might come back with might not be anywhere even close to the realm of possibility, but if we can see a return of investment over 5 or 10 years and show a long-term savings. Right now, we've got 20 airports very interested in it, from large primary airports all the way down to Madison, Indiana is interested in looking into it. So there's different sizes which will help with those rates because we're spreading that liability out over a lot of different people.
Good, good.
So
Great.
it's, to use the famous FAA buzzword, we're cautiously optimistic at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, any other questions about the claims this month? Everything else seems very run-of-the-mill.
Yep.
yep.
I move we accept the claims and especially the Accent Aviation Group for $92,425.87.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the claims and individually the Ascent Aviation claim. Any further discussion?
What did we get for that 92 for?
The 92,000 with a cent,
Yeah,
that would be one load of 100 low lead and the FBO web. That'd be about 39,184.69, and 2 loads of Jet A for 53,241.18.
okay.
Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed say nay. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Okay, Robert, can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
I can
Yeah.
hear you now, yes.
Fantastic. It's been a while since I've seen you. Nathan's been taking my spot for a little while. Not a ton of updates, so I'll keep it quick. There's a lot of words on the engineer's report, but a lot of it is carryover from the previous month. So for the runway 27 obstruction mitigation project, that's the AEP project. Ongoing coordination with AEP throughout the project duration is obviously still happening. We did submit the permanent construction 7460 to the OE AAA website for review and approval. That is pending determination from the FAA. That'll tell us if AEP needs to light or mark the towers as they're being constructed. So awaiting that. The rest of it from the AEP side seems to be progressing the exact same way that they're anticipating it to progress. So we're still, to use the NICS FAA term, cautiously optimistic that this could potentially come in ahead of schedule, or the revised schedule, I should say. For the 927 safety area project, I am currently the holdup. So delay is on me, working on the letters of industry support. I need to get the Image Air letter to Nick. Nick has been great working with Zimmer and Image Air up to this point. So I need to do a little bit better job and get that final industry support letter over to him so that we can submit the RSAP and the forecast to the FAA. That's it for that. once we do submit that, the next phases of that project will be to finalize the RSAD and then reconcile any type of FAA or NDOT comments, which inevitably there will be. And then evaluate those alternatives with FAA, NDOT, and the airport and develop some cost estimates for those alternatives. So, more tasks to come on that project, and we're working forward. I just need to get the job done, so, and I will do that this week. Nothing on the wildlife hazard, there's no updates this month. And then for the corporate taxi lane and taxiway B rehabilitation, our sub-consultant, A&W, they conducted the pavement cores over July. We're anticipating the lab results in the report in September that will allow us to move on to the next steps in design. We did initiate the topographic survey with a line last week. So that project is progressing well, and it is on schedule. So hopefully we get that lab report in September, which we think we should. And then the topographic survey, Ron Chief might be able to help me out a little bit better, but we should be able to get all of that information in the next month or so, a couple months probably. For taxiway D, A&W did the pavement cores for that at the same time, so that lab report and the E1 lab report should come in September. We decided not to do the topographic survey both at the same time, and so we did E1 first, and so taxiway Bravo topographic survey will be coming subsequently. But we assume that will happen over the next month as well, so. And Nick, I'm gonna have to lean on you for the IFE.
We got that taken care of.
We got that taken care of. All right,
Yep.
very good, very good. Okay. And then for the 927 safety area phase 2, that's pending that forecast and RSAD submittal, so. That's all I got. Any questions from the group?
No.
Anybody? Okay, thank you, Robert.
Easy. Thank
Appreciate
you.
the update. Okay, manager's report. Nick, what do you have for us?
Again, nothing too much out of the ordinary this month. Pretty standard for right now. We are still down about 40,000 gallons, give or take, from where we were last year. 100 low lead is up. Jet A is down. I think that at the end of the year, we will see between 75 and 80% of our sales from where we were last year. But we have some pretty promising forecasts that should go back up to previous years next year. I think we're going to see a pretty substantial rise in those fuel sales with some changes we've got coming at the airport. So we can bring that.
Why do you say that?
We'll bring that up at a later meeting once.
Okay.
I don't want to count my chickens before they're hatched,
Okay.
but
Well, we're anxious to find out.
I think that we've got some exciting things coming. We've got, Rob, we're at $12 million next year, I think, coming into the airport between the power lines, the the taxiway E1, taxi lane E1, and the ILS. We're going to be just right around $12 million of state and federal money coming into the airport next year. And I think that's going to really help spur a lot of movement in some different areas.
And basically, you're just anticipating additional users availability.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'm just curious what the projection was.
Yep.
Okay.
And then unless you have any specific questions on the fuel usage report or the income statement, only thing to bring to your attention would be the courtesy car policy. So now that we have the new courtesy car, we are frequently asked if people can reserve the car. They call ahead and say, hey, We're flying in at 2 o'clock and we would like to reserve the car. We have never done that in the past, just because we aren't always sure, if A, if the car is going to be there, or B, if it's going to be running the day that they come. Now that we have a reliable car that we can count on, that's in decent shape, I've spoken with our insurance provider. Due to all of the regulations and policies and everything else, we cannot call it a rental car, and that is not what we are trying to do. But since we have 2 courtesy cars available, there are some times that pilots coming in who are, flying in for business would like to reserve that car, but don't necessarily want to rent a car for a whole day. They only need it for 2 or 3 hours. And so I am proposing, and you guys do not need to make a motion on this tonight, but I am proposing that we enact a convenience fee or a reservation fee, however we would like to word it, of $25 to reserve the car for 2 to 4 hours. So if somebody calls, this evening and says, hey, I'm flying in, I've got a business meeting at 2 o'clock in Warsaw, and I would like to reserve your courtesy car at 2 o'clock. And it'll be back by 6 p.m. when my meeting is over. That'll be $25 for us to reserve the car, and then it'll be ready and waiting for them when they get there.
Okay, now you've got those numbers in this policy. Is this policy something that's in effect right now? Or
It is not. No,
new
this is a
policy?
proposed
Yep.
policy.
Okay,
Yep.
let me ask you a question about it.
Mm-hmm.
Pilot Joe Smith
Yep.
reserves the car just fine. He drives down to B-Dubs to meet with whoever he's gonna meet.
Yep.
And as he backs out of B-Dubs, he backs into their light pole, puts a $400 dent in the car,
Yep.
brings it back.
Yep.
Where does it say he's paying for that in this policy?
In this policy, it says,
It says he's got insurance, but if he doesn't have insurance that's gonna have a deductible, he might be under his deductible.
yep.
So
I'm not an attorney, and
Yeah.
that's where I'm bringing it to the board. Our insurance has looked at this, and they are comfortable with the agreement the way it stands. Because I have a feeling we would be the ones that would have to pay the claim out front, and then subjugate to get those funds received back to us through that client. But I can have Scott proofread it as well and see if he wants to add anything.
well, I just kind of like to have something in there that says they're responsible for damages. They will indemnify us against any damage to the car, regardless of what their insurance is, because he's just saying he's got liability insurance here. He may not. I mean, I would like something that says the guest pilot's got to pay for damages.
Okay.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
And that first line can be changed from proper operating condition to say something like you return it the same way you got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, where it says assumes all responsibility for fines resulting in traffic or parking violations or any financial responsibility, we can, I'm sure an attorney could
You
write
can
that
add, you can add
eloquently.
some language in there to
Yep.
do that. I would like to do that. I have no problem with the fees, and I think the general concept makes sense. You think so, gentlemen?
And those fees are just for reserving, or are they for use, period?
Hold on one second, I'm making this note.
When we had a courtesy horse and buggy, Gene, did we have the same policy?
I see, he asked you that.
We are,
If the horse
if you brought a bushel of apples. No,
jump on the driveway, we're okay.
we are not getting rid of the courtesy car. If somebody shows up and wants to go to lunch and says, hey, do you have a crew car available? Yes, we absolutely have a crew car available. Here you go. I'm not looking to get rid of that program. But we are, more and more people will call in and just expect us to have a car available for them. Well, if you want to reserve it, get a rental car, schedule a taxi, or reserve the crew car. Why? A courtesy car is exactly that, is there as a courtesy because you're buying gas and you're running to do a quick errand. I'll be honest, recently NetJets has asked probably a dozen times in the last month and a half, if they can borrow the car overnight. They never used to ask. They had a rental car waiting for the pilots. Well, now they just expect to use the courtesy car. And I don't know if that's a corporate policy change or if that is we're trying to save $1 and we know Warsaw has a courtesy car and they've let us borrow it in the past, so we're just gonna
take
keep
that
borrowing
back,
it. And we shouldn't be, if you wanna borrow it overnight and we have it available, $50 to use it overnight, and it needs to be back by, 9 o'clock. Because if somebody else shows
They
up.
can't rent a car
Exactly.
that cheaply.
Right,
Exactly.
right.
Yep.
What about fuel?
What about fuel?
I didn't see
For the
anything
car.
in there about fuel.
In the car?
In the car.
We've never charged customers for fuel in the car. If they're buying gas from us, that is what the courtesy car is for.
Okay, they're not expected to bring it back full. I know whenever I would fly somewhere and ask to use the car, I was never turned down.
Yep.
But they always asked me to please fill the tank on the way back to the airport.
I would say 95 out of 100 pilots do that for the courtesy car. For the courtesy car. These ones, the ones that call and ask to reserve it or want it overnight, are the ones that never put gas in the car. But I mean, they're the sweetest two guys. They fly up from Peru because we have Culver's and we have a Menards, and they don't have Culver's or Menards down in Peru. And so if they need to get something that their local hardware store doesn't have that Menards does, they will fly their Mooney up here, jump in the courtesy car, go over to Menards, get the parts that they need, go to Culver's and get a sandwich, fill the car up at the Lassus there at 30 and bring the car back to the airport all within an hour or so. And we see them 4 or 5 times a month. It's hilarious.
Wow.
From Peru.
Yep, Indiana.
Indiana.
Yep,
Yeah.
but we're the closest Menards, so they fly up here to go to Menards and Culver's.
These guys are in business, right?
They're both retired. It's a father and a son. They both have a Mooney, and they fly the other Mooney every other time. So if the son flies this week, the father flies the next time. It's just their retirement. That's what they do to have fun together, and how they choose to spend their time. And so those guys, they never once, I mean, the car is always topped off. Sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
This will just help cover a lot of that.
Okay.
So I will work on making that addition for the liability and bring that for consideration next month.
Okay.
Good.
Now, with the new car, how many do we have available now?
We have that one that will be for this policy, and then we currently are using the wastewater's old Impala that they were going to sell in the auction. And when they heard that our other car went down, they're letting us borrow that until we have funds next year to purchase another new courtesy car.
So we have 2.
Yep.
Because I was remembering that you said we had one that was basically unsafe to drive anymore.
That one, we did not have a choice. The street department, maintenance department put it on a flatbed and took it they didn't even take it to Gills, they took it to Lewis. It was that bad. It could not be salvaged. So,
Two's pretty good for a small airport.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, anything further for us?
I don't have anything else, unless you guys have anything for me.
Further questions for the airport manager?
Nope.
What do you do? I mean, you may not want to answer this in public, but what do you do if both cars are being used and a third party comes in and needs a ride into town?
We do everything we can to help them, but there's times we just can't. I mean, all of our trucks, but my truck, have only 2 seats. So if I'm around and I'm not in a meeting or something, or if I'm in a meeting and we have a free line tech, I'll pull my toolboxes out of the back seat of the truck, and my line techs will run them where they need to go, drop them off, and then they'll call and we'll go pick them up. Or we'll call the taxi company. We do, and there's other times, if we have 4 or 5 jets for, say, Zimmer Biomet has a board meeting, and they're just here for a day. The pilots are sitting around, 4 of them will get in one car and 4 of them will get in another car, and they'll go and eat lunch, or they'll just get orders for everybody and, you know, say they go to Jimmy John's and they'll call in one order for everybody, and then 2 or 3 guys will go and pick up everything and bring it back out to the airport. It just really depends on the day.
I was just curious, because again, when I was going places, small airports, a lot of times the manager or whoever was on duty would just give me the keys to their personal car and say, here, and I was a total stranger. I'd only been to that airport that one time, and it was out of state, and I was not very old. I wasn't even old enough to rent a car. That was one of my dilemmas. But I had an airplane, and I could fly anywhere in the country, and legally, but no rental car.
Yep.
So I asked this guy what I could do, and he just tossed me the keys to his personal car. And I said, you don't know me, why are you doing this? And he goes, two things. He goes, I trust you, and I've got your airplane, and it's worth more than my car.
Yeah.
I said, okay,
You have
fair
to go
enough.
back to get the
He
airplane.
goes, just please put gas in it.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
Yeah. Don't need to be doing that.
No.
Not anymore.
No, we actually had, I'll never forget it. One of my guys called me, it was last fall when we still had the old Taurus. And it was like 5 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon, and I get a phone call. Nick, the Tauruses broke down. They were driving down from Milford. It's north of Leesburg on the west side of the road in the shoulder. And what do we do? So I jumped in my truck and ran up and picked the guys up, and we called the wrecking service, and they towed it down to the street department to get worked on. But it's just one of those things you got to just
Yeah,
yep,
just take care of it.
got to do it.
Yeah. Okay, well, hearing no other business, we will adjourn the meeting, and the next meeting is October 10th.
Yep.
Is that a conflict with airport conference this year?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
Oh,
Yes.
Yes, it is. Thank you, Robert.
Yes, sir. Yep, all good.
So would you guys like to move it up a week or back a week?
well, I can't move it to the 17th because that's my Cromwell and Syracuse night.
Do you guys want to do, oh, that's Columbus Day.
Can't do it on Columbus Day.
We could do nope, I'm out 10th, 11th, and 12th. Well,
You're out that week.
I'll be,
So,
you should be back I'll be back Thursday night. And you said you're out the week of the 16th,
I'm
Jay?
just out on this, well, actually, no, you're right. I leave the 13th. I'll be gone that next week, so.
Okay.
So if you guys wanted to run it the 17th, wouldn't matter. I wouldn't be here anyway.
We could do the Wednesday before, the 4th.
Is everything ready by then from end of the month?
Linda might shoot me.
Linda's laughing.
That's Monday, Tuesday, a Friday. No, sorry, Saturday.
How about the 5th? How about Thursday?
Yeah, there's cemetery board at 5 p.m.
Here? Oh, okay.
We could do a different time if that worked for everybody.
Mhm.
And the 17th is Parks and Rec. So that week you're gone, Jay. We could do the 16th or the 18th.
What do you want to do, John?
Either way, we can do earlier or the following week, as far as I'm concerned. So.
Well, how is the 4th?
4th is open as of right now.
How is October 4th?
We can pencil it in and I can confirm it.
Okay.
I can do the 4th.
Why don't we assume we'll have it the 4th, but you'll follow up to make sure, because
Yep.
you'll have to remind us.
Yep.
So tentatively, it's the 4th.
Yes.
Yep.
At 5:15.
If I have any kind of complication, I'll let you know.
Sounds good.
Okay. We got it moved. Okay. We'll see you then. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you, folks.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye, Ranjit.
Thank you.
I might have a barrel.
There's a story about it. I was telling you about my dad being in Ireland.
Yeah.
He moved over there with my stepmother, Donna. After that,